Good afternoon, everybody. I see we have quite a few people with us already. Going to get started here in about 30 seconds with today's live stream, so just sit tight. Before we get to it, though, if you could smash the like, helps support me and get the video out to as many people as possible. Going to get started here, like I said, in about 30 seconds. All right, I see we have quite a few people with us. Let us know where you're tuning in from in the live chat. We're going to get started here in about 10 seconds with today's live stream. All right, welcome back on The Pursuit of Wealth, everybody. It's Rod with Power Group. Today is Wednesday. Happy Hump Day. It's July 6th. Hope you're doing awesome out there today. And in this video, going to be discussing HEXO Corp, getting a lot of questions about this one. And a pretty eventful day today. Wasn't feeling that great to begin the day. I'm feeling better now. And also got an accepted offer on a condo. So been pretty busy with that, but I expect it to get even busier, so I'll try to keep getting videos out as soon as possible. So apologies I wasn't able to come on a little bit earlier today, but essentially HEXO Corp pumped 106% today pre-market and then faded. Bears won. So what gives? What happened with HEXO this morning? Why? Let me know in the comments below why you think why HEXO pumped today. I'll give my thoughts and opinions on this. Before we get to it, though, make sure to smash the like, help support me, and the channel doesn't cost you anything. You can tick the bell. You'll be notified on any future updates, and subscribe if you haven't already. But essentially, we pumped hard this morning, and something I've been saying for a while is don't believe what you see pre-market, because generally pre-market levels, you usually see about 15 to 30 minutes before the open, it starts to come back down to earth, right? And that's exactly what happened today. It was up like 106% or whatever, like an hour before the market open. And then leading into the market open around 15 minutes, it was only up like 20 or 30%, and then pretty much, gave it all back. And doesn't take a whole lot to move the stock right now. I posted a couple of videos yesterday, and I'll give my thoughts and opinions. But again, let me know in the chat. I always love hearing from you why you think HEXO pumped today. And today was an example of why we don't see, a lot of people are very impatient, and rightly so. I mean, we've been waiting for quite a while for the CPG partner, but today was a prime example of why I think that it would be a mistake to release the CPG partner. We were up 106 pre-market, pre-market, and we gave it all back, right? Because the whole sector has yet to really change any macro level timeframes. Uptrends on the weekly or the monthly. We know that the broader market is still a bit weak, and the S&P 500 has yet to even confirm a daily uptrend. We're in daily, weekly, and monthly downtrends. S&P 500 hasn't been in a monthly downtrend since the financial crisis in 2008. So again, we could see another leg down. There's still tons of weekly bear flags. I've been mentioning this as well. Bear flag. There's a bear flag on Oxley, CGC, High Tide, OGI, Tilray, HEXO. Everybody's got weekly bear flags. We can't lose sight of the fact that we could see one more leg down. And again, today was a prime example of why we don't want to release any bullish news. I think it'd be a great idea to wait. Personally, I think there could be even two CPG partners. They mentioned in their MD&A, their management discussion and analysis, again, that they're going to be looking to get into topicals and cosmetics into the US through their HEXO USA via hemp, right? So hemp CBD. And if that is the case, then they could be working with another CPG partner, which they already told us a year and a half ago that they were working. They said, think cosmetics, think functional foods and pet foods. So if they are going to partner with functional foods and granola bars and cookies and more, I think it's Kellogg's. That could be the first CPG partner, and then we could see something come out as well. That's what the market, I don't think, is anticipating, is the fact that we could see another partner, CPG partner in cosmetics, and we could see topicals through the use of Latitude and 48 North, right? But essentially, I did a product video on some new products from Redican yesterday. They came out with the new Ready to Roll, new Reddies Plus WAPA, the Royal King pack, and that's a variety pack of the Reddies, and they also came out with 3 new Redibles. So I encourage you to check that out. Did that pump the stock this morning? I doubt it. We knew about that. we knew that last week that there was going to be some announcements from Redecan. I personally don't think that pumped the stock. I also did a video yesterday about shareholders approving the Tilray deal. Well, this doesn't mean, a lot of people were saying today that the reason why we're up is because the debt issues are gone. The deal hasn't gone through yet. It's due to close in Q3, meaning some point between now and September. So that is incorrect. The shareholders approved the Tilray deal and the amendments that were set forth and proposed, but that doesn't mean that the deal is closed yet. It's pretty much a shoe-in, right? It's pretty much 99, as close to being closed as it can be, but it hasn't fully closed yet. So that was a step in the right direction, but again, I don't think that's why it pumped. We did see as well that Tilray and Good Supply, they expanded their MJ portfolio in Quebec with infuse. It's hash infused pre-rolls, and this is good to see, because that could increase the odds that we see readies potentially. We still don't have readies in the WAPAs or the regular readies in Quebec yet. And we know that Tilray just got its first edible in Quebec, and first company to do so, and we can likely anticipate a lot more. We know that HEXO said the first edible from its new CPG partnership is going to be coming at some point between now and the end of summer. So again, why bother even releasing the CPG partner if the first product isn't going to be released to the SQDC before the end of the summer, right? It wouldn't really make a whole lot of sense, especially given the whole market environment and condition right now. I think we're better off to wait. There was even some talks today about safe banking. There was talks about people criticizing the government and saying that they haven't done enough to do reform with regards to MJ legalization or expungement of records, that type of thing. So again, if we do see safe banking gain traction, we see Germany legalize into the fall, we're going to see a huge run up, in my opinion, easily 200-300% of upside on a lot of our MJ names. And if that happens, we get some good news, couple that with some good news from CPG partner and entry into edibles and things like that, maybe even one into cosmetics. That's something a lot of people aren't really expecting. We also know that there's a special purpose vehicle that could result in HEXO getting into the California market. What do we know about Minnesota as well? Minnesota just went legal in terms of edibles. So we're going to potentially see some sort of news or expansion there. And we know that New York comes online with recreational sales into the fall as well. So there's a lot of bullish things forming here and coming up. And taking a look at this article again, just to kind of touch on that, I don't think this was behind the pump or anything like that for HEXO today, but this could even mean that we could see vapes in Quebec soon. Quebec still doesn't even have vapes allowed yet, right, as part of the 2.0 portfolio. So the fact that we now have infused pre-rolls increases the odds that we could see vapes and readies. If we don't see readies and vapes come into Quebec soon, I'm pretty sure we live in an upside down world, because why are we allowed to have hash infused pre-rolls and no vapes or readies? It just makes absolutely no sense to me. But this was an article posted from, I think it was Rita in the Power Group private community, but essentially this was a news from one of the apps today. So BZ Newswire news gainer. So HEXO Corp NYSE HEXO rose 106.8% today to 43 cents pre-market trading. HEXO shareholders on Tuesday approved the note transaction with Tilray Brands. So again, we didn't see the deal officially close. It was just the HEXO approval. Why did HEXO pump so much today? I'm not really sure. Again, let me know in the comments below. I'll get into the comments here in a second. I see we have quite a few already and quite a few people with us. If you are just joining us, make sure to smash like, help support me in the channel, and get this video to as many people as possible. Please, that YouTube algorithm. But again, I don't really have a clear-cut answer as to why this pumped, but I will give my thoughts and opinions on this pump and the fade. So realistically, I've seen a ton of people talking volume. The volume today was minuscule, right? There was really not that much volume today. If we take a look at the daily volume, it does look like a lot. It is one of the highest volume days, but if you take a look in terms of dollar value, we only traded 50.75 million shares today. And again, I'm trying to think of what else could potentially be behind this. I think it's definitely market makers, and maybe just testing the waters on HEXO, testing the market to see how much retail interest we get. But I think there's a ton of interest right now in HEXO. And like I said, Germany going to set to legalize here into the fall, New York, Minnesota changing some laws with regards to edibles. We got some news with Quebec and Tilray, which basically insinuating that we could potentially see more entry and from pre-rolls and infused products and vapes, things like that. So that is bullish. But again, not really 100% sure why it pumped pre-market. But as we know, it doesn't have that much. We don't need that much volume to see any huge increase in the stock price. I think it has to do with the likelihood that the Tilray deal is going to go through. The debt is no longer really going to be an issue, and they're going to have a ton of capital. And they release new products that could have played a factor as well. But I think it was mostly market makers behind the move today. I really don't think, from what I see, is retail investors are capitulating. I see people that have jumped ship, and they weren't really investing in HEXO anyway, right? Like the people who exit HEXO because the CFO got fired, or negative gross margin or something like that, something that's an interim thing, or something that is affecting the short-term price of HEXO. If you're selling based on the price going down or something changing like that you don't like, well, you're not investing, you're trading. And personally, I did my research. I've done hundreds of thousands of hours, and not just on HEXO, but in the MJ space. I'm very confident in my long-term picks. I am not selling HEXO. The only time I will sell HEXO is if I'm financially enticed to do so, and the price going down does not make me want to buy more. The price going down does not want me to sell. It make me want to sell. It makes me want to buy more, right? Because my plan all along was to dollar cost average and to sell into U.S. legalization. Right now, MJ is not for trading, in my opinion. Right now, HEXO is just simply an investment, and MJ as a whole. Trading right now, you're just time in the market is better than timing the market at this low. If we were talking about Tesla a year ago, well, I'd say, okay, now's the time for trading, and timing the market is probably better than time in the market, because you don't want to be buying or holding on to something when it's at an all-time high and it's run hundreds of thousands of percent, or 10x or 12x in a year. Well, now we're at all-time lows on a lot of our MJ names. We're at 52-week lows, if not all-time lows on a lot of our names. It's not for trading. It's for investing, in my opinion. And I didn't invest any more than I'm willing to lose. And again, price going down does not entice me to sell. If in fact, it makes me want to buy more and get my average down. So with that being said, HEXO's volume today was really nothing in terms of dollar value. So let's take a look at the daily volume today. We traded 50.75 million shares. So we'll just do... we'll take just an average. I'll even say we'll use the high of the day today. So about 25 cents. So we'll say 50.75 million, and we'll use the high of the day today at 25 cents. So that's about a little over $12 million traded in HEXO today. Okay. So now let's take a look at Tilray. Remember Tilray back here? On when we had that huge, like almost 100% move there in about a week, there was 302.81 million shares traded just on that day alone. Okay, and you'll see where I'm going with this. So if we take that and we'll say, the high of the day was at 866. So that's not the average. I'm just going to we'll do it modestly, right? So we'll say the high was 866. So 866 times how many shares? 302.81 million. So 302.81, $2.6 billion traded that day. Okay. And we only traded $12 million today on HEXO. Okay. So if we divide that by 12 million, Tilray traded 218 times the amount that day, right? So if we times 218 times 12 million, right, gives us that 2.6 billion, right? That we'd have to times that by 218 to come up to that same amount that Tilray traded dollar volume, right, dollar wise. So realistically, we're nothing. That was just a blip in the radar, right? Like that was no money at all entering the market. And for a market maker, somebody who like Goldman Sachs or JP Morgan, who we know have been increasing their exposure, like who's buying, right? If all retail's selling, who's buying? It's obviously the financial institutions, right? And the hedge funds and the smart money, right? So $12 million, there's some whales that are retail investors that have $12 million, right? Like day traders that have, a few million, 12 million. Granted, they weren't putting it all in on HEXO or something like that. They probably wouldn't. But to a Goldman Sachs or a JP Morgan, to just run it, $8 million. Hey, let's just throw $8 million at HEXO pre-market and just test the waters. That's what I think happened. I think it was just a testing of the waters and to see how much retail interest is, and it's kind of a precursor to what we can expect, right? Volume usually precedes price. So the fact that we're seeing this record high volume in terms of shares traded, we basically matched, this might even be a single day record in terms of shares. Let's go back here. Yep, 47.85 million was the record before. But again, the price is a lot lower now. Price back then was in the $2 area. So again, big difference in terms of dollar value traded. But, you know, in terms of volume, that's nothing, right? $12 million to a Goldman Sachs or JP Morgan or BlackRock or, you know, any of these huge financial institutions. That's like chump change to them, right? That's just like a night out on the town, right? So it's throwing $8, $10 million, $12 million into HEXO pre-market. I'm pretty sure that's what happened. Was it's just the market makers testing the water, right? And then people got FOMO, sold the open today. But at the open, we opened at 23.5 cents. And the high of the day was 25 cents during regular trading hours, and we basically gave the whole thing back. But we did break the daily downtrend. Anything under 24.4 cents was a daily lower high. We did get above that, so we broke the daily downtrend, but now we're back into that range. So now we're just looking for a higher low into tomorrow compared to the low there at 19 cents. If we do form a higher low, then we're going to look for a higher high, and if we get above the bounce here at 25 cents, that's going to confirm a daily uptrend. Right? So again, if you think that was a big move, it really was pennies in terms of dollars, right? Compared to what we've seen. 12 million versus 2.6 billion traded one day in Tilray. So imagine if $2 billion was traded in HEXO, right? Especially at these prices, it doesn't take much volume dollar-wise to move the price. And today was a good testament of knowing what to do when price goes up. It's just as important learning how to manage your emotions when price is going up as when it's going down, right? What do people tend to do when price is going down? They want to sell, right? They want to stop the bleeding. What do they do whenever it's going up? They don't want to sell because they just want to just keep going and going. And then, the media, mainstream media is telling you that it's going down, blah, blah, blah. And it's never going to stop. It's going to zero, bankruptcy fears, right? And then when we're going up, remember in January, I think it was, of 2021, about a year and a half ago, when Motley Fool was saying that HEXO was going to be the first among its peers to go at $100 a share. They even justified $400 a share price. And that's when HEXO was at like $10, right? And back here on this huge move. And if you don't think HEXO can have a huge move again, like in just a matter of months, in 6 months, we went from $1 all the way up to $11, right? Tilray went from $4 to $67 on hopes of the U.S. legalizing and the Democrats getting control of the Senate, right? So what happens when we actually legalize, right? Like that was just a blip in the radar, right? But again, it's just as important knowing when to sell as when to buy. And you got to think, like back here, they were saying, Motley Fool was saying that HEXO was going to $100 a share. And I remember the article, they said it was going to 400. They even justified why it could potentially go to $400 a share. And then it went to 20 cents, 19 cents, right? Because then everybody didn't want to sell. They're like, oh, we're going to 100, right? We're going to the moon. And then, granted, no one thought we were going to drop, 98%. Tilray's down 95% from that same time period, from the highs of February 2021. But if we take a look, right, it's how markets work. And the weekly volume is nowhere near a record so far. It could be by the time we end the week, but we still have 2 trading days left in the week this week. So we could see, I doubt we're going to set a record, but you never know. We're not that far away. Weekly record before that was 89.84 million. Was it? No, 113.21 million there. So yeah, it's going to be hard to beat that weekly record here. But like I said, great that we see volume preceding price. Usually that's indicative of more upside. And we're getting close to daily overbought territory, right? We're heading up. We're getting at a daily oversold territory. We're heading up towards that overbought. And again, it's just as important as knowing when to sell as when to buy, right? And today was a good example, going back to what I was saying earlier, it's a good example of managing your emotions. Not only that, developing a plan. Let me know in the comments, what is your plan for HEXO or MJ as a whole, right? Do you have a plan to sell? Do you have a first take profit? Do you have a second take profit level? Are you using a specific price set for your take profit level? Or are you using dollar value? Once you're up X amount of dollars or X amount of percent on HEXO, are you going to sell a certain percentage, or are you waiting until a certain price? Personally, I'm not going to sell a single HEXO share until we get to at least $5. My average price on HEXO is about $1.40 Canadian, and I'm not enticed to sell, right? The only time I will sell when I'm investing is when I'm financially enticed to do so. When the price goes up enough, that entices me to sell. Personally, when we get to $5, I'll be looking to lock in my first take profit. I'll take my initial investment out. But my strategy is going to be way different than you guys, right? Let me know what your average cost of HEXO, right, is. If your average HEXO cost per share is over $5, well, then you probably don't want to sell at $5, right? Or maybe you want to sell and you want to de-risk a little bit, and maybe you didn't diversify. I own 12 different MJ stocks total, so maybe you only own HEXO and you want to diversify into some other names when we run to $5, even though your average is $5. That's a logical thing to do, right? But if you're like me and you've diversified, I have no interest in selling HEXO. Even at $5, I'm still going to hold the majority of my position, right? Because I know what I own, right? I've done my research, and there's a reason why Tilray wants HEXO and why everybody else wants HEXO. There's a reason why HEXO is number one. There's a reason why they won multiple awards, like the Most Innovative Product Award. And there's a reason why they're partnered with Molson Coors and soon to be other leading CPG Fortune 200 partners, right? And I know what I own, and I'm parking my pennies next to their dollars. For every dollar that HEXO goes up, Tilray is going to make essentially $200 million. Okay, so if HEXO goes up like $5, that's $1 billion for Tilray. Or they can just do nothing, don't convert the debt, and just collect $20 million a year in interest, right? So they're in a very good position to either do nothing or just to sit back and wait and see what happens, right? And it's in their best interest for now to see HEXO now go up in share price, right? And if they were to convert that equity, that would dilute the stock price and would hurt HEXO, right? So it's in everybody's best interest now. We now have Chaos Capital positioned as well, putting in like 184 million, right, in terms of backstop. So or 180 million. So that 100, it's in everybody's best interest now to see HEXO go up. And like I said, have a plan. If you don't have a plan, those who fail to plan to fail. So have a plan for selling and taking profit. Have your first take profit area. Are you going to take profit and hold cash? Are you going to take profit and short the S&P 500 as a hedge? Are you going to take profit and diversify into other MJ stocks that haven't run or that you've been looking to buy, but maybe you didn't diversify early enough and now you're down and you just want to diversify? That's something as well. Personally, I have enough diversification in my portfolio. I'll be just looking to sell HEXO and then put it into other things, maybe into other MJ names, maybe into other categories completely, or maybe I'll just hold it in cash. I'm not sure, but I know for sure I'm not selling a single HEXO share until we get to $5. And my HEXO bag is large enough that if we get to $5, my HEXO bag is going to be worth about $250,000. And I own like 11 other MJ stocks, right, that I'm heavy on as well. HEXO is my biggest holding, followed by Tilray, MSOS, Curaleaf. I've got about, you can check out video top 5 MJ holdings on my channel, but if you want to learn more about what I'm holding. But I also really like High Tide. I added C-Web. I don't think that was in the video. But I've got about 12 different MJ stocks, and 2 of which are ETFs. I've got some retailers, picks and shovels, right? I've got MSOs, so American companies. I've got Canadian companies, licensed producers. And like I said, even if HEXO just goes back to $5, right, my HEXO bag, my investment in HEXO is going to be worth about $250,000, right? And then I'll take out my initial investment. I think I've invested probably around $30,000 into HEXO. And again, Tilray is going to make like $200 million for every dollar HEXO goes up, right? I want to park my pennies next to their dollars. What do they know that retail doesn't? Because retail clearly doesn't know what's going on, right? People think that we're still going bankrupt. Again, people tend to not really see past their own nose sometimes. But I've spent enough hours researching and I know what I own. I'm very confident in my MJ picks, and price going down does not entice me to sell whatsoever. But with that being said, I'm going to jump into the chat here. I know it's getting pretty convoluted here at the moment. XTRX, TGOD, and DB led the decline today on the bull list. We had PWR, NOVC, VLNS, followed by Tilray, OGI, PSDN, and HEXO. On the U.S. side, taking a look at the American friends, CNVCF, BioHarvest, we had BEV, which is BevCana, and TAUG leading the decline. On the bull list, we had TAT, NBev, FIT. So yeah, MSOS, not really doing much today, bouncing on the daily time frame, but kind of a mixed bag all around. But nice to see some green in the market today. SPY was up about 0.5%, I think, or maybe 1% at one point there. But ended up closing the day green, and we could potentially see an uptrend confirm. If we break resistance there at 393 on SPY, that's going to confirm a daily uptrend. That'll be good for MJ. But see if there's anything else I wanted to mention. HEXO on the weekly time frame. So look where we topped out, right at the 10-week moving average. We've been rejecting. It's been rejecting for so long. I'd have to go back like 3 years, 2 years at least. But yeah, you can see here we confirmed the 10-week moving average as support, and then we confirmed a weekly downtrend, and then resistance. We got above it here, ended up being a bull trap. We even confirmed a weekly uptrend with a low, high, higher, low, and higher high. Massive bull trap, right? And then bled out even more. And then here we are topping out right at the 10-week moving average again. So that's going to be a strong, if we can close the weekly candle above 25 cents, that's going to be a huge milestone. And the MACD is still bullish. It's been bullish since the fall of 2021. So coming on a year, the MACD still hasn't crossed bearish. And usually that means that we have smart money and whales loading up. And we just had a bull cross on the stochastic as well. So if we can get a 10-week moving average candle close above that, above 25 cents, we're going to have some major bullish signals here on the weekly time frame. And then in terms of the moving averages, we have nothing nearby until the 50 weekly there at 111. And we had a bull cross of those those moving averages, and then a bear cross, and then more downside. But one would think that we're likely going to ebb and flow back towards those soon. So again, I think a move up to around that $1 after that, very, very plausible. And then after that, we're looking at the 100 at $3, and then $8 there at the 200 weekly. In terms of the daily moving averages, we topped out just underneath the 50-day moving average there as well at 28 cents. After that, we're looking at 43 cents, which is the 100-day moving average, and then the 200-day moving average there at 81 cents. And we had that death cross back here, just like all MJ pretty much in the summer of 2021, so about a year ago. And it's just been a straight bleed session ever since, right? But again, I really think that we're going to see a massive move soon, and something I think that a lot of people aren't factoring into the share price is the fact that we could see multiple CPG partners. Tilray even mentioned in their presentation for their investors when they invested in HEXO, they said HEXO's working with leading CPG players, or in discussions with leading CPG players, right? And clearly they know something that the average retail investor doesn't. And yeah, to me, why was HEXO up today? I think it was just market makers testing the market, seeing what kind of retail investor interest is there. Would be nothing for them to chuck $8 million, $10 million at HEXO pre-market, and then see who bites, and then they just sell it and then short it again, and then make money back on the way down, right? And then even if they lost money today, not really anything to be worried about, because $8 million, we know that they're probably going to invest, a couple $100 million, if not a couple $1 billion into MJ, right? Maybe more. And, if prices go to new all-time highs, you're looking at 10, 20, 30, maybe even 50x on some names. Factor that into a $1 billion investment. You're turning $1 billion into 10 billion, 20 billion, 30 billion. I don't think they're too worried about losing on a few $1 million today, even if they did end up with a net loss today. But I would say that most financial institutions are net long at the moment. And again, volume usually precedes price. And I think that we're going to see a huge move. And today was really nothing, right? You got to say to yourself, what happens if we were up 100%, but realistically that was nothing. We were just at, a couple of months ago, a couple dollars. We were just at $5. We were just at $11 a little bit over about a year and a half ago. What are you going to do when we get back to $1? What are you going to do when we get back to $3? What are you going to do when we get back to $5? Are you going to be able to manage your emotions and not sell all of your position, right? That's something that people are going to be jaded, right? They're going to think the next pump is just a pump and dump. And then today was a classic example to fuel the shorts and all the bears and the haters, right? Bashers saying, oh, I told you it was just going to fade it all. But again, as we know, if the whole sector isn't really confirming weekly and monthly uptrends, HEXO is probably just going to give it all back. But in terms of dollar volume, it was nothing. So now today is a good example of what we need to do on the upside to develop a plan. The same thing happened back here when we ran from about $1 all the way to $11. A lot of people sold way too soon, and I didn't think we were going to pull back this much after that huge, I was exiting as we were starting to hit weekly overbought. And then I was looking to dollar cost average back in. Granted, it dropped way more than I expected, and I invested a little bit more than I had originally anticipated. Like I said, about $30,000 I've invested probably so far. But again, if HEXO just goes back to $5, I've got close to, I think it's somewhere between 40 and 50,000 shares of HEXO. I haven't tallied it up recently. I'll only add again as well if we get to 15 cents USD. But my bags are packed. And if we get to $5 again on HEXO, that's life-changing wealth for me. $20,000, $30,000 investment. I'm okay if that went to zero, right? I would, I have way more cash than that in the bank as I've been just anticipating more downside because of the S&P 500, being at all-time highs and pulling back 20%. I knew that was something that could happen. I was shorting the S&P 500 as a hedge as well. And like I said, I own more crypto in my investment portfolio than I do MJ, right? And that will change over the next, little while. But I'm also in the market right now for a new condo. I just had an accepted offer on a new condo here. So I'm going to be deploying some of that cash. Right now, cash is about 50% of my holdings, my net worth, and I'm going to be deploying about 10%, 20% of that into more real estate. And then I'll be looking to, once we see MJ really start to take off, then I'll be looking to, diversify and take profit on that. I'll take out my initial investment, and then once MJ becomes such a high percentage of my net worth, then I'll just take profit and I'll rotate that into other sectors that isn't a huge part of my net worth, right? It's just about managing that risk. And again, if we even go just back to $5 on HEXO, that's life-changing wealth. I know people with over 100,000 shares of HEXO right now. Do the math, 100,000 shares times $5, right? That's some big money potential. And what happens if we go back to $10? What happens if we go back to $30, right? It could happen, right? If the price was at a certain price before, there's no reason why we can't go back there again. And look what happened just on hopes of U.S. legalization. What's going to happen when they actually legalize? What's going to happen when Germany legalizes, when the United Kingdom and the rest of the EU and Malta and all these other countries, right? Thailand. We've got, individual states coming online as well. I saw in the POW Group community, taking a look at the MJ News channel, what was it? Oklahoma group submits signatures for adult use MJ legalization. So again, more and more, and we're heading into a bullish time for MJ. After the summer lull, usually a drop off in activity, and then into the midterms and into the fall, into the elections. Not only that, it's just a bullish time for the stock market. It's bullish time for MJ, and seasonality might kick in, right? So again, I'm prepared for more downside. But I didn't invest any more than I'm willing to lose. HEXO is my biggest position, but I also have Tilray, MSOS as my next biggest holdings. And again, I own way more crypto than I do MJ, and I own way more cash than any of those, right? I also have mutual funds and real estate and a bunch of other investments as well, other non-related MJ stocks and crypto stocks, tech stocks, things like that. So, yeah. Just have a plan, right? What are you going to do if we get to $1? What are you going to do if we get to $2? Are you going to make decisions on the fly, or are you going to develop a plan now, which I think you should? Again, this isn't financial advice. This is just what I'm doing and what what my strategy is. Doesn't mean that my strategy is the best, or you have to follow my strategy. But again, most people don't have a plan, and not telling you to buy, sell, or hold. Just develop a plan. You can't go wrong having a plan, right? All right, super chat. Well, you didn't have to. Yeah, you didn't have to do that. $30, Boris. That's too much. Thank you, though. I appreciate it. Plan is selling Tilray at $1 or $1. Okay, 100. There we go. So again, I've been buying Tilray, but because of how overvalued it was compared to the rest of the sector, in my opinion, I was very reluctant to buy it, just because the rest of the sector was bleeding out, and we were bearish. We were in monthly and weekly downtrends when the S&P 500 was at all-time highs. It was just a very huge red flag, and something that I've been very confident about is that we won't see MJ run to new all-time highs and be in a multi-year bull market if crypto's in a multi-year bull market, because a lot of the same demographic and people trade crypto. And what do we know about market makers? They're greedy. They want to suck as much money out of people as they can. And the best way that they can do that is having them on opposite cycles, right? So a similar thing happened in 2017, 2018 when MJ went on its bull run. Crypto exited its bull market. So it started its bear market, and then MJ stopped its bear market and went into a bull market. Doesn't mean that'll always be the case. And I think that after we can buy crypto in our regular accounts, like our regular stock trading accounts, that's when the correlation might come and go, or might go away, because it's just too much friction for people to get money out of their stock trading account and then to put it. And there's things like ETFs now in Canada, right? We have the Bitcoin ETF in Canada where people can buy it through the ETF, but that's not in the US now. So if somebody in the US, you can have Grayscale, which is the trust, but if you want to actually buy Bitcoin, you have to take the money out of your investment portfolio in your traditional stock account, put it into an exchange, a crypto exchange, and then, it's just a lot of friction. So I think that after crypto really tops out, we're going to see MJ enter a multi-year bull market. And I think the next time we go into a bull market, I think $67 on Tilray is going to make it look like peanuts, right? We know that it hit after its IPO $300 on Tilray, and it's essentially Team Tilray, Afria, HEXO, and Redecan right now. If you told me 2 years ago that was going to be the case, I'd straight up tell you you're out to lunch, you're crazy, that's never going to happen, that's borderline unfair. But here we are, right? We've got Team Tilray, like good luck other LPs, right? And Canopy, for example, I did add some Canopy, it's only about like 2 or 3% of my portfolio. I'll add a bit more if we see the weekly bear flag and target of, I think it was $2.33. But I'll look to add a little bit more on Canopy. I don't think Canopy's going anywhere. It's just too big to fail at this point. They have too many assets, too many brands. But yeah, Tilray, my second biggest position next to HEXO. And a move up to $100 is very doable, in my opinion, on Tilray, right? Just on hopes of legalization, we went from $4 to $67 in 6 months, right? Just on hopes. What's going to happen when we actually legalize? And Tilray has probably the biggest presence in international markets. And what do we know about that? Germany coming online. We've got New York rec sales coming online. We've got Thailand. We've got Minnesota now. We've got all these other individual states. We've got full-blown federal legalization that could happen in the U.S. We got safe banking, right? We got all these catalysts, and realistically, we haven't seen anything yet. And $67, easily doable in my opinion. And then $100, maybe we're looking 1 to 2, 3 years out for $100 Tilray. But yeah, I mean, just from current levels to $100. I even have to zoom out, but just from current level to about $100, you're looking at about a 20x, right? So that's $1,000 investment into $20,000 if you put $1,000 into Tilray at these levels, right? But yeah, if you're looking to sell Tilray at $100, stick to your plan, right? And have a game plan. So if that's your first take profit level, well, if the price goes to $50. Are you going to be able to live with yourself if you didn't sell, right? If it goes to $50 and then comes all the way back to like $8, are you going to be saying, I wish I shoulda, coulda, woulda? Are you going to be playing that game? Or, maybe, and it all depends what your average price is too, right? If your average price is over $50, well, then you're probably not financially enticed to sell. But you got to think, like, we're still so early, right? We're coming up 4 years legal in Canada, and we still don't have vapes and all these other categories in Quebec because of laws and regulations. We still have a 30-gram limit on orders here in Canada, 10-milligram limit on THC and individual packs, right? So there's still so much growth coming yet for MJ, and then the U.S. legalizing, the rest of the whole world, right? $100 is easily doable on Tilray. But yeah, just one thing I would say is just, have a plan and just try to play it in your head, right? How are you emotionally going to feel if we go to $50 and then come back to 10, right? That's possible, right? So just have a plan, and if you don't think you'd be able to live with yourself after that, well, maybe you can consider taking profit at $50, another level at $20 or $25, right? That's something that you can, you can factor into your plan as well. All right, just wanted to tell you something. People trash you hard on Yahoo Finance, say you're a pumper, laughing out. Yeah. I don't care. People will always find, everybody's a critic. That's one thing I've noticed, and they'll always find good and bad in everything. But yeah, if they genuinely wanted to figure out what my motives and intentions were, and if they took the time to actually come on and listen to my live streams, they would realize that I'm not a pumper, and that I've been following HEXO for almost 2 years now. And my first purchase in HEXO was in August of 2020, about 2 years ago. And I've been covering it regularly since. A pumper is somebody who comes and they pump it and then they dump it and then you never hear from them again, right? I'm in investing. People don't understand what investing is. Like Mark Cuban, if he's lost $100,000 on many investment ventures, right? But what Mark Cuban does is when he invests, he doesn't sell because the price goes down 50% or because we have a recession looming or a CFO gets fired or something like that. He does hundreds of thousands, if not whatever. He does thousands of hours, hundreds of thousands of hours into research, right? And, he'll probably get a team of people researching it as well. And he'll be like, okay, based on my net worth, I'll put $100,000 into this thing. If I'm right, I lose $100,000. If I'm right, if I'm wrong, I lose $100,000. If I'm right, I make 10 or 20 or 30, maybe even $1 billion, right? Depending on what it is, right? What the asset is. But he has a max amount that he can lose, $100,000, right? But he doesn't sell because price is going down and he panics, right? And he wins more than he loses. So that's my investment thesis with MJ. MJ literally is going to have generational wealth, just like crypto. My life has forever changed from real estate and crypto, and the next thing is going to be MJ. I'm very, very confident of that. And yeah, I really don't care. Yeah, you don't think I pump anything, and I just try to help people. Well, I thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you. And yeah, if anybody has any kind of intellectual honesty, they would. I'm pretty sure they would resonate with you, right? They would realize that I'm not pumping and that I'm here dedicating my time to come on here and help everybody understand, right? That's really what POW Group was about, was helping people understand and see through all the noise and spot trends and learn cycles, and that things don't happen overnight, right? And that the market is against you, right? The market makers don't want us to succeed, right? And they will do everything they can, rinse, repeat. And yeah, anybody who thinks I'm a pumper, big middle finger to you, because I do not care. And if they're talking about me, I must be doing something right. But yeah, middle finger, don't care. And yeah, that pre-market was epic. Well, realistically, nothing. It was nothing compared to what's coming, right? Hey, Rod, I was watching that move on HEXO pre-market. It was great, but didn't hold. Yeah, it didn't last. Yeah, exactly. And I think it was just market makers testing the water. Again, to a Goldman Sachs or like a BlackRock who's got trillions of dollars under management, $8 million, $10 million, nothing. That's absolutely nothing to them, right? They could easily just buy 5, 10. Tilray traded $2.5 billion in one day. $2.5 billion in one day. HEXO today traded about 12 million, right? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Yeah, it was epic, 125%. Was it 125%? Yeah, I wasn't even, like I said, I really don't care. Like, I've managed my emotions so much that I don't feel them anymore. And until HEXO even gets, like, I'm not even watching the share price really on HEXO. I've got a buy order in for 15 cent US, and beyond that, if that doesn't fill, I'm sitting and I've got my bags packed. My investment is set, and I'm just waiting, right? Either it goes to 15 cents and I buy more, or it keeps going up and that order never fills, and I'm okay with either scenario. Or my order fills and then I maybe buy another little tiny bit at 10 cents, right? But not really much more. I'm pretty much 95, if not more, % bags packed on HEXO. Good day for Tilray. Good day for Tilray. Now all I want is it stays that way. Yep. Let's take a look at Tilray. So daily bounce underway. We still We lost the daily uptrend back here, so we had the low, high, higher, low, and higher high. We lost the daily uptrend when we lost $3.14, and we actually confirmed the weekly bear flag on Tilray. But again, not much follow through, and it could be a huge bear trap, right? A lot of people think when we're seeing weekly bear flags across the sector, now's the time where market makers may really shove it to retail and kick them when they're down, and then now's where people start capitulating or thinking we're going to see another leg down, and then here's the time where we could shoot up. That could happen, but there's a strong chance. I'd say there's still a 60% chance we see more downside from here and another leg down across the MJ space, but on the daily time frame, we are starting the daily bounce. Anything under 372 is just a daily lower high though, and then we still need to come back. We still need to come down and form a higher low and higher high, right? So we're looking for this higher low now, but we broke to a new lower low. So now we need to come down, form a higher low and higher high, and change that daily trend. So yeah, it's got a lot of work cut out for it. And then in terms of the weekly time frame, we haven't even started the weekly bounce yet. It's a weekly bear flag. And then when we bounce on the weekly, we still need to confirm a weekly higher low and higher high, change that weekly trend. And then the monthly trend has to be changed, right? So there's at least a few months of an uphill battle here, but looking like we could potentially see that into the fall, right? With safe banking potential as well. So very, very possible that we could see a huge rally into the fall in the beginning part of the 2023. But earnings coming up first week of August, so far tentative. But yeah, hopefully we keep seeing some green, right? Again, I'm still dollar cost averaging, not so much on HEXO. I'm pretty much all packed, but I will look to add more Tilray if we drop to a new lower low. Tilray and CGC are probably the two that I want to add the most, followed by Curaleaf, MSOS. Really like CL as well, and they're a little bit lower in my portfolio, so I'm looking to top those up a little bit more as well. I never pay attention to pre-market. It seldom ends the way it starts. Yeah, exactly. I learned that long ago. If it's 15 minutes before the open, that's different, right? But if you see something's up pre-market, a lot of the time it's spoofing, and a lot of the times it's just market makers and manipulation. But if it's 5 to 10 minutes before the open and we're up like 20-30% on HEXO, then you can probably guarantee, or any name, right? You can probably safe to say that it's going to hold. But today was a classic example of just a pump and fade pre-market and having no weight behind it. So yeah, I'm in the same boat. I've been around long enough to know that pre-market's just a tease most often than not. Yeah, Tilray had a good day today, up almost 8%. Yep. Nice to see. Stop the bleeding at least. So why did it jump up and go back down? So yeah, I think, again, not 100% sure, but I would say 90% sure that it's because the market makers are just testing the waters. And yeah, it didn't take much to move the stock, right? We know that only $12 million roughly traded today in the stock, and Tilray had $2.5 billion traded in one day a few months ago, right? So it's really nothing in comparative to the amount of dollars that were in Tilray that day, and it's very easy for market makers to manipulate the price. And yep, it could have something to do with the fact that shareholders approved that, and then they're just looking to establish some positions. Market makers, Germany, legalization, safe banking, things like that. Could even be the CPG partners getting ready to be released soon as well. But personally, I think it was more or less just testing the waters from market makers, right? Wouldn't take much for them to move it at this point. And look at how many people were like freaking out this morning, right? So they're just like, wow, like look at the amount of attention on this stock, right? We're gonna really run this thing when we run it. That's kind of what I think is happening. I think HEXO sold share in the morning. I think HEXO sold shares in the morning. I'm not sure what you mean by that. Just a short squeeze from stops being run. Yeah, it could be a short squeeze as well. But a lot of the pre-market stuff. There's not a whole lot of retail in there. I don't know too many retail investors that play pre-market, but yeah, it could have had to do with that as well. We could still potentially see a massive short squeeze. Again, I really don't think what we saw today was anything really anything close to what we're going to see in terms of shares traded. It was a lot of shares, but because the price is so low, really didn't matter. And $12 million traded on the day, right? It's essentially nothing compared to 2.5 billion traded in Tilray. So it's just easy for them to move it, in my opinion. But yeah, I think there was a multitude of factors that probably played into it, but I would say it's mostly just market manipulation. Definitely wasn't retail buying it, that's for sure. Maybe quite a few were still banking on bankruptcy. Yeah, and anybody who thinks HEXO's going bankrupt right now just clearly hasn't done their research, or they're just bashers, or they're jaded, they lost money, and they want to see other people suffer. Because they're terrible people. Maybe, I don't know. But I would say it's mostly because they just didn't do their research. Don't actually want to understand, right? It's like the Bitcoin maxis saying everything else sucks. It's like, okay, well, how did AOL and Netscape do, right? Just because they were first in the space doesn't mean that, a lot of people made money on some of those early internet companies. But guess what? A lot of them didn't even stand the test of the time. And the ones who really made it came after, right? Like you said, don't need much to move it. Yeah, I mean, like I said, some day traders have a few $1 million in their account, right? So $12 million traded, all you would need is, that'd be absolutely nothing, right? To compare for institutional investor. I tried to find an answer to why HEXO went up pre-market, and I couldn't find any answer to it. Yeah, exactly. I think it's just manipulation and market makers testing the water. They do that with crypto sometimes too. Sometimes they'll run, they'll target a name that's very low liquidity, and then they'll run it. It'll go up like 50 to 100%, and then it'll just fade, and then they'll just test the waters. They'll get people to FOMO in by the top, and then they short it on the way back down. They make money, rinse, repeat, and then they really move it after that, right? Volume usually precedes price. The only thing I can think of is that they did it on purpose to test the waters. Yeah, exactly. So we're on the same page. We need nonstop pump like that time, like that till $10, like that time to $10 is what I think you meant. Yeah, exactly. So, that happened in a matter of months. Tilray went from $4 to $67 in 6 months. HEXO went from like $1 to $11 or $14 Canadian. So yeah, today was nothing, right? If you're excited about the pre-market action today, again, just you're going to be really excited in a couple of months and maybe 1 to 2 years time. And again, I own a lot more than just HEXO. BTC looks like it wants to break out too. Yeah, it does. The only thing I'm concerned is it's under the 200-week moving average now for a couple of weeks, and we are still targeting I think we had a monthly head and shoulders target of about 12,000, 13,000, and we had a weekly bear flag as well. Rod, how high can HEXO go in 2 to 3 years? Well, like I said, back here in the fall of 2020, we went from a bottom, we went up about 640%. So we went factory in post split. And this was even leading into a reverse split, right? They were going to do 8 for 1, right? Or 1 for 8. And then everybody and their dogs say, oh, HEXO will never go up because of the reverse split, right? Everybody always finds some excuse, right? And then it went up anyway, right? What do you know? It follows the rest of the sector because that's what everybody else was doing, right? HEXO is just in the MJ space, so it follows the MJ space. Who would have thought? But yeah, this and reverse splits and stock splits, regular stock splits, they're just nothing but an accounting trick and manipulation, right? It's just ways for market makers to manipulate it even more. What's that? We're going to get delisted if we drop below $1. Oh, well, we'll invent this thing called a reverse split, and problem solved. And then that's how they get things down 95% and then still stay listed. And same thing with regular stock splits. Why do you think they're splitting Tesla and Amazon, doing a 21 for 1 on Amazon? It's because most retail can't buy Amazon when it's at $2,000. Oh, we know a solution. We'll do a 20 for 1 stock split, and then retail will be able to buy it here for like $100, $200, and then we'll sell it to them, and then now they're down 50%. Great plan, right? It's just a way to manipulate it. So again, if HEXO ran from $1 all the way up to $14 in a matter of a few months on hopes of U.S. legalizing, what's going to happen when they actually legalize safe banking, Germany legalizes, Thailand, the rest of the whole world? Yeah, in the next 2 to 3 years, we could easily go back to all-time highs, in my opinion. It's just a question of whether or not Tilray is going to buy them out, right? Or if they're going to merge and put the two companies together. Personally, I'm prepared for both scenarios. The only way I'll convert my HEXO shares into Tilray is if they merge. Beyond that, I'm buying Tilray now. I've got an average of about $5 right now on Tilray, and I'm looking to add more Tilray as well. So I'll be prepared either way. But I'm not selling any of my HEXO shares until I'm financially enticed to do so. And I really do think that, we could easily go back to $5, $10 in the next year to 2 years. And then, 2 to 3 years, we could easily see $20 to $30 again, in my opinion. Again, look what happened just on hopes of US legalizing. And they did absolutely diddly squat. They didn't do anything. The only thing that happened was Dems took control of the Senate and this happened. This massive move happened, leading into a reverse split, which everybody said HEXO was never going to recover from. And then here it's bankruptcy, right? And another potential reverse split. But again, why does Tilray want to be involved in HEXO so much, right? And they're number one in terms of market share. Yeah. Just imagine what actually happens when they legalize. So if we went up 600% on hopes, or 700%, we'll say, on hopes of legalization, well, one could think we'd probably go at least double that, right? And double 700%, you're looking at about a $28 share price, right? And we need to come to terms with the facts as well that we could potentially see a reverse split. We have until July 25th to regain compliance with the NASDAQ, and we could potentially get a 6-month extension like Sundial did, which would push it out to January 25th. We could easily regain compliance before then, right? For January 25th, we have safe banking, New York coming online, Germany, multiple CPG partners announced. All of that potentially coming at the same time. We could easily get back and regain compliance. But there's a possibility that we do reverse split as well. But again, just because we reverse split doesn't mean it's the end of the world. Look what happened last time we reverse split, right back here. Price went up 700%, right? So again, just on hopes, what happens when they actually legalize? Well, if we had 700% before, 1,400% should easily be doable on actual legalization, right? And I think, and look where we went just on Canadian legalization, right? We went up to, and this was before they even had Molson Coors and Truss beverages, right? Now we've got Redecan, all Zenabis's brands and strains, right? We're getting rid of their assets, but they keep the brands and, well, not the brands, but what the strains and things like that came from those brands, right? Like Ultra Sour, they're not using the Zenabis brand anymore. Ultra Sour was a product under the Zenabis brand, under Namaste, but they're getting rid of those brands because why? They have too many good brands. You don't need 20 brands. You just need 10 really good ones. So what they did was they rebranded Ultra Sour under Up Cannabis, which is 20% THC and up in every bag, and also in the HEXO straight edge pre-rolls, they now have Ultra Sour. So that Zenabis Namaste brand strain is now being rebranded under Up and HEXO. So yeah, that's my 2 cents on that. Hold for the gold. Yeah, you bet. Growth in general leading all correlated. Yep, and we're starting to see we were starting to see a risk off, right? Less appetite for risk, and yeah, I think if we start to see appetite for risk, that's going to be good for MJ because MJ is the second most riskiest asset class, if not the most riskiest at the moment, next to crypto. Crypto, I think, is the most riskiest. But then MJ second, but at this current time, MJ is the most risky because of the fact that we're down 90 to 98%, right? But again, crypto dropped 90% plus as well in 2019, and I lived through that, right? I lived through 90% corrections in MJ before as well. This isn't my first time. And I was buying the dip in crypto when it was down 98%. And then look what happened in 2021. Crypto won an absolute tear, right? And I made a lot of life-changing money, but the most money I made and the life-changing gains I made was from real estate, right? And again, if you're only investing in MJ or one MJ stock, I just have to tell you, you're doing it wrong, right? Because your emotions are going to be way too high, right? Average cost $197 USD. Yeah, so AJ, you're probably not looking to sell before that price, right? So if you're looking to develop a plan, again, I'm not telling you to buy, sell, or hold, but you're probably going to look to take profit somewhere around the same time as me, right? Maybe you take out your initial investment, over $2, maybe $5, $4, whatever you. It all depends on how much you invested. Is it money that you need for me, it was money that I didn't need, that I was prepared to let sit for many, many years if needed, right? And I've been dollar cost averaging, right? Initially, back a year and a half ago when I started to dollar cost average in, I put in, 5, 10 grand, and then I put in 20 grand. And now I'm into about 30,000 into HEXO as an investment. A little bit more than my initial investment I plan to do 2025. But again, I'm not putting in any more than I'm willing to lose. My net worth, that's only like 5% of my net worth, right? Maybe a little bit more than that. But now it's getting to the point where if I put any more money into HEXO, well, now we're getting into that territory that I'm investing a little bit more, too much than I'm willing to lose. And that's part of my net worth, right? So everybody's situation is different. But yeah, I would encourage you to make a plan, right? What are you going to do if the price, like obviously you're probably not going to sell before $1.97, right? But maybe get clear with yourself. When are you going to take profit? First take profit level. Are you just going to hold it all until a certain level? Are you going to scale out in multiple sell orders? Maybe take profit at this second take profit, third take profit. Some people like to average up. That's not my strategy. I like to buy low, sell high, and dollar cost average. Because it's buying when we're down 90 to 95%. I see people selling. I just think that's the complete wrong way, especially with MJ, the most riskiest volatile asset class in the planet. Second, one of the most. But yeah, this is where, when you're buying at these levels where generational wealth is made, right? Like I said, if I see HEXO at $5 again, that's going to be life-changing wealth. And I have about 11 other MJ stocks in my portfolio, right? So if HEXO goes up to $5, that's a good chance that a lot of other names went up, 700 or 800% as well, right? I'm just very, very confident in my MJ picks. 50-cent calls to next year. $5 would be plenty. Yeah, I'll take $5 and be laughing all the way to the bank. My average is 27 cents of 16 shares. Wow, that's a fantastic average. Congratulations. I plan to keep building my position until legalization. I'm going to sell when legalization happens. There you go. Yeah, so I actually have two accounts with HEXO in it. I have a shorter term and a longer term. The longer term, I only log in to buy, and that's the one I was talking about. I'll buy more at 15 cents, but I will not sell until U.S. legalization happens. Keep in mind that position is a lot less dollar volume or value, right? But in my shorter term account, I have a lot more dollar value into HEXO, and that's the one where I'll sell in my RSP, where I won't flag my account for selling or anything like that. And you can day trade as much as you want in an RSP. I'm not a financial advisor or tax advisor, but that's what I was told. And yeah, I'll look to take out around my initial investment in my RSP, and then I'll either look to diversify into other MJ stocks, or maybe even just sit in cash, maybe hedge with a short against the S&P 500, or maybe just look to invest into something else altogether, right? So yeah, nice, Jamlosi, you bet. Man, I called the 100% dump. Yeah, well, again, one thing we have to keep in mind is that pre-market, it needs to be taken with a grain of salt, right? If something's up 100% during regular hours, during regular trading hours, well, it's probably not going to fall 100%. But if it's up 100% pre-market, then yeah, it's entirely possible. It didn't even, by the time the bell rang, by the time the market actually opened, it was only up like 20%, right? So, it's kind of, you got to kind of take it with a grain of salt, and it's not the same. That's why an hour before the market opened, I saw somebody said it was up 100%, and I was like, okay, I don't really care. I'll check it 15 minutes or 5 minutes before the market opened. Checked it 5 minutes before the market opened. Sure enough, I was like, okay, everybody got all worked up for nothing, right? But most people don't even play pre-market, so they weren't even able to short it or, right? So, but yeah, if it was up 100% pre-market, or not pre-market in regular trading hours, there's no way it would have came back down 100, gave back the whole move. Might have dropped 50%, but I can probably count on one finger how many times I've seen that happen, where a stock go up 100%, come all the way down, maybe Tilray when it IPO'd. But I don't even think that happened, right? Like in a day, what happened? So in one day, it went up like 100%, and then it came down, or I guess this was the open, so it went up 25%, and then it pulled down 28%. But in a couple of days, right, it went up 132%, and then in another couple of days, it went down 60%. And that was a huge move, right? But that was during regular trading hours. And yeah, I think it would have just been a completely different story if that was during regular trading hours. But yeah, a lot of people saying that was going to pump and dump and not sustain itself. And again, another reminder of why it'd be a terrible, terrible idea, in my opinion, to release any good news like CPG Partner right now on, and it's not even HEXO's decision. HEXO's waiting on the CPG Partner. They're under non-disclosure agreement, so they can't release any information until there's a press release from the CPG Partner. And in my opinion, if I were the CPG Partner, I'd be waiting. And if it's Kellogg's, like I think it is, they were going through a strike at the beginning of the year, and they're looking to divide their business into 3 separate entities, right? So they've got some other stuff that they need to sort out first. 6K at 48 cents CAD in my short-term account. Wow, very great average. Not as good as Jamlosi, but we can't all be that lucky. But yeah, again, I've been dollar cost averaging back into HEXO since like $5, right? And granted, it dropped way lower than I ever would have thought. But again, I was just dollar cost averaging, slowly buying back in, didn't invest any more than I was willing to lose, and realized that me buying at $5 probably wasn't going to be the bottom, right? I don't need to buy the absolute bottom, and quite frankly, you're probably never going to. And if you do, it's just out of sheer luck, right? So as long as you're buying near the bottom, and you have a plan, you're not just, I didn't go all in and invest all of the money that I had to invest into HEXO at that point, right? I was dollar cost averaging, right? Because it can always go lower, especially knowing what I've known through crypto and MJ. You should expect 90%. This won't be the last time we drop 90+% either, right? So this is something that you can take as a learning opportunity. The next time that we go on a huge, massive bull rally, and we start to confirm monthly and weekly downtrends and enter a bear market, well, you need to be thinking in the back of your head, well, remember that time it dropped 90% and I didn't think it could go any lower, and it did? Well, I'm glad I learned that, right? And I'm glad that I learned that with a low amount of money before I started using like a 6-figure investment account, right? I'm glad I made mistakes in a 4 and a 5-figure account. I even lost 5 figures in a crypto scandal with Quadriga CX, lost all my money. And yeah, I'm glad I learned that lesson with 5 figures versus 6 figures, right? Now I'll never make that mistake again. Thank you. I got screwed on Tilray and I'm making it up on HEXO for now. Yeah, exactly. And it's all relative, right? I know people that have an average on Tilray at $15 and they're down, tens of thousands of dollars. And I'm in multiple different groups and communities, and they all sound the same, right? Everybody always sounds the same about, they just think that, oh, it's my stock that's down. And then they don't realize that, oh, all MJ's that. And, there's people saying that Erwin Simon, the CEO of Tilray, is a crook and a criminal. He's getting paid way too much and blah, blah, blah. Like, everybody's always a critic, right? But if the price was at $100 a share, everybody would be like, oh, praise Simon. Praise Erwin. Like, he'd be the second coming of Christ at that point, right? It's just crazy how tribal and hateful people get when price is going down, but it's human nature. Average of 74 US, holding 5K. Nice. That's a great average as well. So yeah, you're about half my average. Nice position. Yeah, you bet. Let's go HEXO. Yeah, let's go team Tilray, HEXO, Redican, and Afria now, right? Crazy to think about. Happy as long as higher lows and upwards, even if 1% a day. Yep. Yeah, if anything, today was a good idea, or a good testament of how much interest is in HEXO, right? If you just take a look at some of my videos on my channel, right? I do Tilray videos all the time, True Leave, High Tide, and which one gets the most views, right? HEXO 1 day ago, 700 views. Tilray 3 days ago, not even 600 views, right? And like, how many other people do you know from the US that are tuning in? Like, most people that are investing in Tilray are Canadian. Most of the people I would say investing in HEXO are like American, and they haven't even tried their products yet. And I don't see anybody asking me like, how are Tilray's products, or how are, other LP's products, or I don't see anybody in Canada being like, how are Truly products, or, just foaming at the mouth to get information about it. Whereas tons of people in the US want to know about HEXO and they haven't even tried their products, right? It's the only company in the MJ space that I know of that it has a complete separate country interested in it. And I would say like 50% of my viewers are American, right? I guarantee if I took a look at my my statistics on Tilray, it'd be way more lopsided to the Canadian audience, right? And again, I don't know how many times people have said, can you send me some HEXO products to the States? And I'm like, no, sorry, that's a felony. I sold my 20K HEXO. I will have friends that said it will get delisted on the NASDAQ. Well, if you're doing things because of what your friends tell you, I would say that's probably a mistake. You need to be confident in your own stuff. You need to do your own research. There's a reason why it says do your own research down here, DYOR, do your own research. I've done hundreds of thousands of hours, and I would never buy something because somebody told me to do it. I would take what they have to say into consideration, and I would get the consensus, maybe watch 5 different people that I respect and value their opinion. But the thing is most retail investors are usually wrong. And if you're selling now, again, price going down doesn't entice me to sell. And them delisting from the NASDAQ is probably less than 1%. So I would say your friends, no offense, they have no idea what they're talking about, because there's less than a 1% chance, in my opinion, that they get delisted. Why? Because they're going to probably get a 6 months extension, which would push it out from July 25th to January 25th. And they already have shareholder approval to do a reverse split. So yeah, just tell your friends they have absolutely no idea what they're talking about. I actually am not unhappy for HEXO being low again. Yeah, exactly, right? And for every seller, there's a buyer. And for every buyer, there's a seller. And there's people turning 18 or legal age to invest every single day, right? And there's people that are buying MJ for the first time every single day. People need to get out of their own little world that they're in and realize that this is life-changing opportunity. And if you don't have any more dry powder, well, what can you learn for next time? If you can't average down, what can you do for next time? And maybe you can get creative. What can you do on the side? Can you maybe pick up another job, or can you maybe do a little bit of a home-based business or something like that? Can you cut some lawns, or maybe sign up for Skip the Dishes, do a few deliveries in your evenings? That's what I was doing when I lost that $10,000 from a crypto scandal. I was determined. I almost quit. I almost said, screw crypto, never want to see it again. But I knew too much already. I knew that this was going to be a huge opportunity. This is back in 2018, and then Bitcoin went from $3,000 to $70,000, right? So I'm glad I didn't give up. But what did I do? I got even more determined. I would never lose that money again. I would never make the same mistake twice. Fool me once, shame on me. Shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. And that lit a fire under my ass so big that now I'm basically financially free for the rest of my life, right? And that had a lot to do with real estate as well. Did I think my real estate was really going to pop that much? No, but no one saw the everything bubble of 2022 during C19, right? But again, if you're only investing in MJ and not diversifying and having other eggs in other baskets, well, you're never going to, benefit from those unforeseen things that could come your way, right? Dollar cost averaging continues, yeah. It's Swedish currency. Yeah, and I think Sweden was going to be trialing recreational or some form of legal MJ. I can't remember if it was medical now or what. But we'll try to stay on, let's try to focus on MJ here, and getting close to an hour and a half, so I'm going to try to wrap it up here soon. Even though HEXO would be delisted, it doesn't mean it's going to dump. Yeah, and like I said, there's no way it's going to get delisted. They already have shareholder approval to do a reverse split up to 1 for 14. So even if they don't get an extension from the NASDAQ, which Sundial did, so why wouldn't HEXO? They could easily regain compliance before January 25th. And if they don't, they already have shareholder approval to do a reverse split, 1 for 14, which would easily, let's say they do the 14, right? Say at even 21 cents times 14. That's $2.94. So that's way above $1, right? Again, why do they create splits, regular splits and reverse splits? To manipulate the price. It's all about market makers. They do the same thing here with Amazon. They do a 20 for 1. Oh, too expensive for retail. What do you mean we can't make more money off retail anymore? Oh, I know. We'll have a brilliant idea. We'll create a thing called a stock split. Instead of the stock being worth $2,000, we'll cut the shares by 20, and the price will be worth a lot less, right? Or with a reverse split, they add the shares and then the price drops. With a reverse split, the price goes up and the shares drop, right? So they say, oh, what's that? Retail investor can't buy in anymore and we're not able to manipulate them and rob them blind. We know. We'll do a 20-for-1 stock split and now retail will be able to buy again at $100 and then we'll crash the price 50%. Sound like a great plan? Yeah. Right? Leading up, because people were buying it here too, thinking that was going to be bullish for the split. And then when did this split actually occur? So the split occurred back here. So from the time the split occurred, we're down 21%. But leading, the same thing happened in Amazon back in the .com days too. Gonna have to go all the way back. But the same thing happened. They actually did 3 of them. 1, 2, 3, and then boom, 95% correction. What does that remind you of? And they were selling legal stuff, books and, you know, things that you didn't die from or get the death penalty from selling, right? And we're down 95% on MJ and people are losing their ever-loving minds and we're selling a drug that's still federally illegal in the US and some countries offer the death penalty. If 95% came of Amazon in the .com days and they were selling legal products, yeah, I would say there is no comparison, right? We should expect that in MJ and expect it again, right? We're gonna shoot up another 10, 20, 30x on some of these names, right? HEXO easily go back to $10, $20. Tilray could easily go back to $50, $100. And then we may even go to all-time highs, right? And then drop another 90%. But I think the next time we enter a multi-year bull market, or the next time I think we enter a bull market on MJ, it's going to be multi-years. And we're going to see not just like the last bull run. See back here, Tilray didn't hit a new all-time high. CGC didn't. The only ones was really like Afria and a couple other outliers. But the next bull market, I think you could pretty much just throw a dart and click any one of these and you're going to be like all-time high, new price discovery, blue sky breakout, all-time high, both Canadian and US. Why? Because we've been suppressed for a very, very long time. Ever since Canadian legalization, really. Audio is distorting? Okay, weird. I didn't change anything. Maybe, I'm not sure why. Is it better now? Yo, baby, let me get some money. Time to buy. I just dropped $90 at 20 cents. Is it a good time to get in? Yeah, I mean, you know, it could go a little bit lower, but I'm not going to tell you to buy, sell, or hold, but I'd certainly be looking to buy if I was looking to add some money. Hello, what did I miss? It's been about an hour and 17 minutes now, so definitely might have missed something, but I would encourage you to go back and check it out. Even if you listen on at 1.5x speed, they should get an extension from delisting. Yep, exactly. If not, they're already authorized to do a reverse split. Yeah, see, exactly, Anthony, you do research. Goes a long way, doesn't it, my friend? Best case is partnership with Tilray succeeds and we organically go up. Personally, I don't want to see a partnership with Tilray. I really don't think it's going to happen. The odds increased after the amendment and the amount of percent they would own if they did convert. But remember, they don't own any HEXO percentage-wise until they convert that equity. And like Tilray said, they're in a good position to either do nothing or later on convert into equity and then maybe look at putting the two companies together. But right now, they're going to really benefit off HEXO share price going up. Like I said, 200 million for every dollar or so it goes up. And it'd actually be more than that, probably close to $250 million for every dollar HEXO goes up because they got a lower deal price. So that would said at 37%, they said 200 million for every dollar HEXO goes up at 37%. So if it went up from 37 to about 50%, then probably closer to like $250,000 for every dollar HEXO goes up, right? But like they said, and if they convert that equity, that's going to dilute HEXO, and that's going to hurt the share price, which isn't in the best interest of Chaos Capital, right? Which is Adam Arviv. He just put up $180 million. Putting $180 million, he does not want to see more dilution, right? He was complaining and chastising everybody for the amount of dilution. I think that it would be stupid on everybody's part. And again, everybody is essentially in bed with HEXO now. We've got Chaos Capital, you got Redican, you got what was Zenovis and 48 North, and now Tilray and Afria, and all these players, Molson Coors, potentially the new CPG player, maybe two CPG partners, right? And these are billion-dollar corporations. So what I would like to see is them both remain independent, and Tilray just benefit off HEXO share price, and then not sell until the share price goes up. And then if they do look to convert and profit from the share price appreciation, maybe do so very strategically and slowly, so that it's not affecting the share price too much. But I think best case scenario would be that they both remain independent and work together as partners, similar to what Microsoft and Apple did when Microsoft saved Apple from bankruptcy in 1997. Did you get hammered into this crypto pullback? Not really. I'm down, but I'm pretty much break even in terms of my dollar value invested. I was completely all out of Bitcoin and Ethereum, and I've been dollar cost averaging into XRP, XLM, and Litecoin are my biggest positions, and then Algo. But I'm just focusing more on the utility coins, and again, didn't invest any more than I was willing to lose, and just slowly adding, kind of like MJ. But I definitely own more crypto than I do MJ, dollar-wise. But yeah, my account's definitely down. I'd say my account's down like 40 or 50% from where it was maybe even a year ago. But I wasn't financially enticed to sell, right? And I'm prepared to wait. And I'm focusing on names that haven't yet reached their all-time highs. Like a Cardano went from 2 cents to $3.16. I have no interest in owning Cardano anymore, even at 48 cents or 50 cents, right? It's still up 48 cents from where it was a couple years ago. Right? So if it was at 2 cents March 2020, C19 lows, and today it's at 50 cents, no, I'm still not interested. Like, you got to kind of look at the risk to reward. So again, focusing, if you take a look at XRP was at 11 cents in March 2020. Today, XRP is at 32 cents. Right? So it's only up, about 100% from those lows, or a little over 100%. And then from whenever the SEC sued them, it went down to 17 cents. So only about 100% from that level, right? So again, I think there's just a lot less downside. And again, I'm very confident with those picks. And again, I've also been hedging the S&P 500 with a short position and holding a ton of cash, 50% of net worth in cash. 36 cent CAD, 50,400 shares. Wow. Wow. That's epic. Wow, my friend, you're gonna be extremely wealthy, I would say, at one point. Well, even if you have other MJ stocks as well, you're very, very well positioned just with HEXO alone. But yeah, just do the math there, folks. If you got 50,400 shares of HEXO at 36 cents, what's those 50,000 shares going to be worth if HEXO just gets back to even $5, right? That's what most people don't understand. They're like, HEXO probably not going to get back to $10 or $20. Well, even if it just goes back to $5, and for example, Dipheads has 50,000. That's life-changing wealth, right? 34 cents US average, 70K shares. Wow, even better. It's like a flexing competition here now. We'll hold until 2023 or 2024. Dollar cost average if it goes to 15 cents. Yep, kind of similar to me. But my first take profit will be $5. I'll take out my initial investment. Because if HEXO gets back to $5, my HEXO bag is going to be worth close to about $250,000. And if I've invested about $30,000 into it, I'll definitely take out my $30,000, or I'll definitely take out my initial investment of $30,000 thereabouts if we get to $5. EVFM has been killing it. Started climbing up when HEXO started to stabilize. Good day. Long-term hold on me for HEXO. Yeah, I haven't been following that one, but that's good to hear. And like I said, all MJ right now is a long-term. It's not for trading, in my opinion. When you're at all-time lows, 52-week lows, down 90 to 98% on a lot of our names, time in the market is way better than timing the market. And again, I see a lot of people saying they're jumping ship on HEXO to buy other stuff, or, the price has gone down 95%, then they're enticed to sell. That just doesn't make any sense to me. It's like the opposite. I'd be buying, right? I'd be looking to get that average down, and nothing has changed, right? HEXO is still one of the most exciting companies, and it wouldn't be if, Tilray wasn't looking to, Tilray's been chasing them for months. Even tried to buy HEXO in November for $2 to $3 a share, and HEXO turned it down. So why? It's like coming on. It's probably been like a year now that Tilray's been chasing HEXO ever since they bought Redecan, right? And who was the competing offer with Redecan? I bet you any money it was Tilray. I bet you Tilray offered them $1.4 billion, but a lot of it was in stock. And you got to think, if Tilray dropped 95% and most of that deal would have been in stock, that $1.4 billion would be hard pressed to be worth $500 million today, right? If it was all done in stock, because Tilray went down 95% from the highs, right? So if they did a deal with, a year ago when Tilray was, at that price, well, their stock price is just absolutely crushed. And if Redecan accepted the deal mostly in stock, well, they'd be crushed too, unless they sold the stock right away. But that would hurt the stock price, and then they would most likely, hurt themselves, right? Because just because you have $500 million worth of stock doesn't mean you're going to be able to sell it for $500 million, because once you sell the first $100 million, the price is going down, right? And it's very low liquidity, right, in terms of MJ, because it's still a nascent industry. So you're going to hurt that you're not going to be able to get the exact amount of value out of the stock, right? And then HEXO offered them $400 million cash. That was the kicker. And I think they were more confident in HEXO in the long term, right, because of all of what they have going for them. So if it drops down to 15 cents and you dropped 1,000, what could the possible return be if it hit $20? So if it drops down to 15 cents and you dropped 1,000, yeah. So if it hit $20 in HEXO and 15 cents, you're looking at, if you go on TradingView, you can do like a shift, just hold shift down. But just rough ballpark, if it hits $20, you're looking at, if it hit 15 cents, you're looking at a little over, 11.7 thousand %. So you would just do, or an easy way to do it as well is just go like this. So $20 divided by 15 cents is 133. So this says like 117, but I didn't do it. It took it from 1691. It was hard for me to get exactly at 15. So the way to do it, to get the most accurate, is just to put in $20 divided by 15 cents, gives you 133. So that means 133x, right? 113,000%. So it'd be 133x. So if you put $1,000, you times 133 by $1,000 would give you $133,000. So if you put $1,000 investment into HEXO at 15 cents, if it goes back to $20, that's $133,000. And if you don't think that's possible, well, back here it went from $1.38 all the way up to $11. And again, this is why when prices are down this low, this is where life-changing wealth is made. Because if you can buy it, pennies on the dollar, if you can buy around 15, 20 cents, and then it goes back to $20, that is the kind of gains that you're going to really see life-changing wealth. And where we saw that before? In crypto. If you don't think it's possible, just look at Cardano. It was at 0.017 cents in March 2020, just over a year and a half ago, right? So March 20, or a couple years ago, sorry, just over 2 years. So in 1 year, so we'll go to March 2021. In 1 year, it was up 90x. Okay, so again, let's do the math here. The high we hit was 310, and this is just in a couple years. So 310 was the high, and the low of Cardano, this is a cryptocurrency, was 0.0177 divided by 0.0177. That's 175x. So if you put $1,000 into Cardano in March of 2020, then in August of 2021, a little over a year later, you'd have $175,000, right? Doge actually went up way more than that. And there's some other cryptos like Shiba Inu, a bunch of other cryptos that did that. So if you don't think it's possible, anything's possible. anything is absolutely. But look where we went before, right? We went from, like I said, down from a few dollars all the way up to $33 just on Canadian legalization. And then here we went from $1 to $11 just on hopes of the U.S. legalizing and Dems getting control of the Senate. What's actually going to happen when we actually legalize, right? Just under an hour and a half. That math, LMFAO, yeah. My theory is recession is good for MJ sector. Yeah, I think it will be as well, especially the tier ones too that are gaining a lot of market share and that are seeing a lot of mergers and acquisitions. I just think that the lower market cap companies just aren't going to be able to survive. We're going to see a lot of companies just either pivot or straight up not be able to keep up with the times, right? All right, just over an hour and a half, so going to end it there. Pretty much guaranteed to go over an hour now with these live streams because we, like I said, just look at the amount of investor attention in Tilray and HEXO, right? Specifically HEXO, and I would say Tilray the next one. But yeah, Tilray and HEXO, my two biggest positions, HEXO being the biggest, and I'm just really excited for the future. I'm just grateful that we get to be a part of it, and knowing that, we can't time the bottom, but as long as we're buying near the bottom, that's all that I really need to know. And time in the market is going to be timing the market at this point. And again, I'm investing. I'm not looking to get out of positions because of emotions or the price going down. That does not entice me to sell. It entices me to dollar cost average. And again, I never invested any more than I was willing to lose in the first place. And I've got way more other investments other than MJ. And I've got 12 different MJ stocks, right? So that's how I sleep at night, holding 50% of my net worth in cash, hedging against the S&P 500 with a short position. All right, going to end it there. Thanks again for joining us on the Pursuit of Wealth, everybody. And we'll probably see you tomorrow after market close at some point. We'll get another video out. We'll see what happens over the course of the next couple of months. We know that the Tilray deal is expected to close sometime in Q3, which is between now and September. I think it'll probably close at some point in August, and then at which point we could see the CPG partner announced. They said first edible to SQDC, so Quebec, before sometime between April and the end of summer. So if it's toward the end of the summer and Tilray deals due to close at some point this month or next month, at the latest in September, then I think that we'll see it shortly after that. But some point over the next couple of months, I think we're going to see that news. All right, thanks again for joining us on the Pursuit of Wealth. If you could smash the like one more time on your way out, I would appreciate it. Thanks again for joining us, and we'll see you on the next video.